Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we explore the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Milan, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced, the lessons learned, and the strategies fueling future growth. Today, I'm absolutely thrilled to be joined by April Davila, the founder of Sit Right Here, where she coaches aspiring novelists through private sessions, her Path to Publication program, and the mindful writing community. She blends craft lessons on story structure and character development with mindset training via mindfulness meditation to quiet inner critics, banish writer's block, and build steady writing momentum. Writers join her for online sessions, mastermind QAs, and accountability to finish manuscripts faster than doing it solo. With that being said, April, let me officially welcome you to Founders Future.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
It's great to have you. We're going to dive right into it. What I love to do on every single episode is a little bit of traveling back in time. So before you even had this company, what were you doing before? And then eventually, what was the motivation for starting the business?
Well, it was twofold. I've been a fiction writer through the whole journey, but for a while I was paying my bills through freelance work and then started using AI to work on my freelance jobs. And I realized very quickly that it wouldn't be long before my clients realized they didn't have to pay me to use AI. So I pivoted I was working with a few private clients, like people would ask me to read their manuscript and I would give them notes. And I realized at that point that that was the work I always enjoyed the most, but I didn't know how to really make a business out of it. So when AI really came into the picture, I was like, all right, time to get serious about figuring out how to make a business out of the part that I really enjoy. And so that was the pivot point for me. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, you just had to figure it out though. But this is business. This is real entrepreneurship.
It's business. Yeah, exactly. And it's weird because it's creative work. And so, and a lot of times, like it felt icky at first. I don't want to charge people. I love doing this work, but it is, I got to the point of, no, this is valuable. People are happy to pay me when I can help them. So there was a bit of a mindset of getting over, I don't know, the fact that creative work shouldn't cost money. It's letting that go.
Yeah, to be honest, a lot of people who are in the creative sphere, they're struggling with this.
Yeah.
Imposter syndrome, what am I going to charge? All these other things.
Yeah.
But yeah, April, let's talk about where this journey got you and what the business really looks like today. In this part of the podcast, what I'm trying to do is get the listeners close to, first of all, who it is exactly that you're trying to help right now, but also what are those core offers that you have in place for your clients?
Yeah, so when I decided to get serious about my business, the thing that I realized fairly quickly was that I needed some sort of niche because there are 1,000 creative writing coaches out there. And what I had realized was when I looked back at my writing journey, the thing that had really helped me find my path was a regular meditation practice, which doesn't sound intuitive. Like at first I even dismissed it. I'm like, that can't be right. But when I started really thinking about how meditation had helped me as a writer, I started to realize that there were actually 6 really concrete, teachable ways that meditation can help you be like a happier, healthier, more productive writer. And so I solidified those. I turned them into classes. I started experimenting with like little day-longs here and there, and the offers evolved out of that over a couple of years. Finding that niche of the mindfulness and the writing together, creating the packages around that. So at this point, as you mentioned, I have a couple of offerings. I still do occasionally work with writers one-on-one if they have a finished book and they just need notes on it. So that's one part. And then I have my mindful writing community where we get together every day of the week. We online. It's not just me. I have other teachers who help lead it. I don't have to do it every day, but it is the cornerstone of my writing. So I love it and I love the people in it. We get together, we meditate for 15 minutes, we write for an hour, we hang out for a few minutes, and then we like go about our day knowing that we've gotten our writing done. And then I have my larger package called the Path to Publication, which is a 9-month intensive higher ticket item that is really focused on getting the book done and traditionally published. I'm focused specifically on fiction writers who are looking to go the traditional publishing route. And that was another part of the kind of narrowing down on my niche, because I used to do nonfiction and memoir and fiction is my passion. It's what I want to do. So I carved out the rest of it, and I only work with fiction writers who are serious about getting their book done.
Yeah. I think having that group setting as a part of your offering is not only beautiful through the lenses of having impact on a lot more people, but also it makes a lot of sense from a business perspective. That way you have
Yeah.
something much more scalable.
Yeah.
I'm curious if there's anybody listening to this right now, still leaning towards the one-on-ones, but looking for the ways to scale the business. What was the point in time where you really reflected and were like, yeah, I have to make something on a group setting?
Yeah.
What was that for you?
It was about 14 months ago when I was working like 14-hour days.
Yeah.
When I first launched the Path to Publication program, I was doing it all myself. So not only was I running the business and trying to write my own novels, but also every client I signed was sending me 50 pages a month. And then when they finished that, we'd do full I was like, it was absurd the amount of work that I was trying to do all by myself. So I had to get really serious about what is it that I am specifically good at. And that is the mindfulness part, the mindset work of keeping people on track, getting over writer's block, getting the work done over the emotional hurdles of it. And then what I did is I went out and I did a deep dive search for really good editors, people who could read those pages for me, give arguably even better notes, because some of them, like, I'm not a murder mystery expert. And so now I have a murder mystery expert on the team and he does the notes on those projects. And so the clients are actually getting better notes from him, but they're also getting the parts from me that only I can do, which is like the mindfulness and the mindset work around it.
I love that. I love that. We're going to get to this later because one of the biggest topics on the podcast is delegation.
Yes.
Before we do that, obviously, there is a lot of different questions that you need to ask yourself on a daily basis as a business owner to really know how to scale this, how to grow it, how to have that bigger impact that I mentioned before. So let's also touch on the back end side of the business, and more specifically, what do you do on the side of marketing and maybe lead generation to have a good client acquisition system in place and have the ability to onboard new clients and have that impact?
Yeah, that's been like the $1 million question for us. So for the past 2.5 years or so, we've just been trying everything to see what works, which is a little exhausting. But we're just now starting to get data because people were coming from different places. But I'm just now getting to the point where I have enough data that I know what works for me is having free offerings, like little freebies of my PDF on how to build characters or how to get past writer's block, that sort of thing, where people give you their email in exchange for some sort of little free offering. And then once they're in my network, I have an active newsletter campaign that people really seem to enjoy. We have good open rates. So the newsletter is a big part of it. And then the other part that really seems to be, I guess, the second right below that would be when I teach. So if I do I've started doing quarterly free classes. I have a free class I teach on how to write a really good first page, or next week I'm teaching a class at an online place based in San Diego, and I'm teaching about how to write sensory details, like the descriptions that go into it. And so whenever I'm teaching, that's the awareness of people. They get to know me. If they like me, they get on my mailing list. And again, then I nurture them through the mailing list. And then generally speaking, they'll, from some sort of webinar is when they'll actually sign up to either join the community or come be part of the Path to Publication.
I got you. I got you. Everything that you've mentioned now is on the side of organic, right? And what I'm also
Yeah.
curious about, there is a lot of frustration when we talk about organic because it takes a lot of time, but also
Yeah.
getting clients from sources like word of mouth referrals. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, it's a great source of leads, quite easy to
Yeah.
close those, but there's a lot of inconsistency. So with
Yes.
that comes a lot of frustration. I'm curious, have you ever tried using paid advertisement just to have something maybe a little bit more predictable and scalable, or what part does it actually take here?
Yeah, we've been experimenting with that in the last 6 months or so. And what we have found, like with Facebook paid ads, we found that we got really good conversion for the free offering, but not a lot of conversion to paid offerings. So it was good for list building, but then the list wasn't converting as well as we had hoped. And so right now we're experimenting with Google ads. You can target people a little more specifically on Google ads. So we're trying to narrow in on the communities, like the cities we know my clients tend to live in, the demographics. And then again, we're having a lot of people come in for the free offering on that. Now we're trying to dial in the getting them into the next step, right? Taking the next micro commitment to buy the $37 offering of this class, or whatever the next step is that kind of deepens their engagement with me. Yeah, it's tricky because if when it's not working, you're bleeding money and that sucks. So trying different things, but trying not to jump around too much. That's where we're at right now. Sometimes you got to stick with it a little bit, invest in it, figure out if it's working before you tweak it and or try something else. And that's where I'm at with the paid advertising right now.
Very true. It's a lot of testing. So I always say you either take the time to master it yourself or just have somebody else do it for you. But
Yeah. Yeah.
there's a lot that goes into it in terms of really succeeding with paid ad strategy. And also the offer itself really needs to be cold traffic friendly,
Yes.
which there's a lot that goes into the messaging, which I'm sure you understand being a writer,
I'm learning.
how it is important to like, because if you think about it, what we're trying to do here is not only get in front of the right people, but also do it at the right time and speak their language so they
Yes.
truly understand what's going on here,
Yeah.
which is not that easy. But yeah, I'm also curious. Obviously, a lot of people struggle even with this. Like, what is the best timing to start investing into ads, or what is maybe the reason why you decided, okay, this is the time where I'm going to start investing?
Yeah, I started about a year ago when I like to do the end of the year assessment. How was the year? What do I want to do next year? And at the end of last year, I hit my revenue goals. I was happy with how things were going, but when I looked at I realized I hadn't spent anything on marketing. Like, what company spends nothing on marketing? None that I can think of that are successful. And like you were saying, word of mouth had gotten me really far. Teaching at the classes, doing the organic had done well for me. And I just had this moment of what could I be doing if I actually invested in my marketing? And so this year has been trying to figure out how best to invest in my marketing. I'm really hoping that next year allows me to take what I've learned this year and really grow into new levels, new growth.
I love it. I love it. And also, let's talk about teams, though. This is a big
Yeah.
question, and you already mentioned a couple of people being on the team as more on the fulfillment side of things.
Yes.
But also, if you look at overall the structure that you have in place, how does it look like for you when it comes to people in marketing, sales,
Yeah.
fulfillment, all the other departments?
Yeah. So I, 14 months ago, as I mentioned, was working way too much. So I hired a full-time VA. So he's 40 hours a week and I like life changing. A little scary to make that jump, right? To take on a full-time person, but no regrets. It's been amazing. And then shortly, right around the same time, I hired a 20-hour a week OBM, online business manager. And so the VA really, he helps me with execution across the board. And then the OBM helps me with strategy and planning and hiring the freelance people. So in addition to those two people, I have like my team of editors, I have my bookkeeper, I have a guy who helps me with my Kajabi sales pages. I have a guy who's helping with our Google ads. He's running the analytics on that and like tweaking the keywords. And so we have a whole lot of people that we hire ad hoc, a few hours here, a few hours there, and my OBM manages all of that. And so that I don't have to be talking to all of those people. I talk to her and then she manages all those people. And I love it. I feel like every time I talk to her, I'm like, I love you. You're the best. I'm so glad you're on the team. Both of them.
Looking
Both of them.
retrospectively, looking back though, you mentioned it a couple of times already, but you said that you basically got to the point where it was just too much, right?
Yes.
Looking back, would you have done it sooner if you knew how much it's going to make your life easier, or what is your perspective on it?
I couldn't really afford to do it sooner. The reason I was busy was because I had a lot of clients. And so I would have maybe gone maybe a month earlier, but I don't think I was financially ready for the commitment of taking on two people on a regular basis for that commitment. So maybe a little sooner, but not much. And I'm glad I didn't wait any longer than I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Now let's talk about what's going to happen next, though. What the
Yeah.
future holds for your company, especially if you think about like short-term goals, the next 6 to 12 months.
Yeah.
You gave us a little sneak peek into what's going to happen, but let's dive deeper into this. What would you say are the biggest goals, targets, revenue, milestones that you have set for yourself?
Yeah. My goal for the company is to have 50 aspiring authors traditionally published in 10 years. And so I set that goal a year ago. We've got two. One was published this year, one has a publishing deal, and I have another who's like almost there. Not bad for the first year, but that's always our goal. Every decision we make comes down to, does this help our writers get published? In terms of revenue, I'm trying to build up our community a little bit more. We have a really lovely community. It's on the smaller side, and because it's a subscription model, if I could get some more people in there, it would serve two purposes. One, it just more people in the community is more resource for the people who are in there, right? Because when you're in a room of writers and you're like, I'm looking for an agent, the odds are better that there's going to be someone who can, oh, you should email my agent. I just want the community bigger for that front. But then also as the community grows, it creates more of a base level of income for me, which is really important in terms of financial planning. I'm sure you know this, but being able to predict the revenue and the income is, I don't know, that's what I'm aiming at more. And then for the path to publication, I'm doing 2 launches a year right now. And this past year was really about shifting into that 2 launch a year model, because up until then I was just, every month it was like, what's the new offer? And it was exhausting to like create the offer, sell the offer, deliver, and while figuring out what the next one will be. And the cycle was really exhausting. So I did a reset this past year of it's the community and it's path to publication and occasionally additional manuscript reviews, but starting to winnow away those other things. So at this point, I have a couple of free things that I do, and then I have the community and the path to publication, and really doubling down on getting people into those programs, whichever program is right for them. And marketing, really. I think marketing is probably the biggest push I'm going to do in the next year.
Hmm. I was just about to ask you, like, when you think about hitting those goals, what would you say is going to be the biggest challenge? So is it going
Yeah.
to be marketing specifically?
It's marketing specifically. I will say one of the other things we've done in this past year when we decided that Path to Publication twice a year, those launches was going to be the thing. My OBM and I really worked hard on setting up systems for everything. So when they're onboarded, it's a system. Like I click a little button and they get this email and this email and that contract and this thing. And when they hit certain landmarks, they get this email telling them this time to work on this thing. And so we've set up an entire automated process so that we don't have to be constantly like whack-a-mole trying to figure out where is everybody, who needs to send a payment, who has to sign their contract. Like we've got everything automated so that we can really focus on servicing the client in terms of helping them with their fiction, not worrying about all that other stuff. So at this point, those systems are set up. Like we're ready to expand and bring in a lot more clients, which about a year ago I thought I was ready, but I think I wasn't as ready as I thought I was now. But in the past year, we've really dialed in those systems. So we're ready for people to come in. Now it's just, let's fill the funnel. Let's get people in the door. Let's help them write their books and get them done.
With this being in mind, though, obviously you're trying to set everything in the most effective way so that it doesn't come crashing down once you
Yes.
do grow more
Yeah.
aggressively. So I love to see that, by the way. There's a lot of people who don't do that. But when it comes to actually converting all of those leads and really onboarding those clients, are you the one taking all the sales calls, or what is the strategy going forward with that specifically?
Yeah, right now it's me. So when we do this twice a year launch, there's a few things we do, but ultimately it ends up on a webinar that I run 3 times live. And at this point, I've done it so much, I think I could do it in my sleep. And then from the webinar, we invite people to come onto a call and talk to me because not everyone is a good fit for it. I've definitely turned away people who aren't ready for the program. I invite them to come join the community, or I'll send them to, if it's a memoirist and I'm not working with memoirs anymore, I have people I can refer them to. But we really try to do as much narrowing of the funnel through that webinar process as we can so that only good qualified leads end up on my calendar. And then I spend 2 weeks, 2 weeks of the cart open where I'm actually taking calls, vetting that they're the right fit for it, making sure like everything's in place. And then if it's a good fit, enrolling them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Listen, there's a lot of good and exciting stuff that you have already built. So I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure
Thank you.
you're gonna test everything out and just build on top of that. Let me ask you one of my favorite questions ever before we wrap this up. You've been in business for quite some time now. So if you could travel back maybe to the very beginning of your entrepreneurial journey, what would be the best piece of advice that you would give yourself?
I have benefited immensely from coaching and mentoring, from some paid, some just talking to writers who are ahead of me on the journey in their own business. I think if I had any advice for myself, so I officially started the business 3 years ago, it would be to lean into that advice, like fully. Don't resist it, just do what they tell you.
Yep.
Because you don't know what you don't know when you're getting started. And as you start to figure it out, it's, oh, they said that 6 months ago. Why didn't I listen to them? So I think if I had any advice for myself, it would be listen to those people who are giving you advice and seek them out. Like I actually ended up hiring a business coach, and it was the best decision I ever made.
Yeah. It's funny how so many times we and I say we collectively, we feel like somehow this is going to set us back by investing into
Right.
somebody else and money goes away, but it's the exact opposite.
Yeah.
Come on. If you can just follow somebody else's lead, somebody who's done
Yeah.
it hundreds
Yeah.
of times, then yeah,
Yeah.
what the hell we're talking about.
Worth every penny. And she just said, do this. I did it and it worked.
Yep.
Because she's a
Ta-da.
business coach. I'm not a business coach. If she wanted to
Yeah.
write a novel, I could do that for her. But yeah, I think I've really come to appreciate coaches in general. I feel like if you're trying to do anything that you are not the expert at, hire someone. It's worth every penny.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah.
Preet, this has been a lovely conversation. So I want to say thank you for taking the time today, sharing this story with me and the audience. If anybody wants to reach out, get in touch, maybe even work with you, what is the
Yeah.
best way to go about that?
AprilDavila.com is my home base. It's also my handle on all the socials. April Davila. I think I'm the only one out there. So just type that into Google and you'll find me. I'm very easy to find.
Beautiful. April is everywhere. So just look it up.
Yes.
Awesome. Now, to our listeners, if today's conversation inspired you as well, make sure to subscribe to Founders Future on your favorite platform. And also, if you're a business owner, more specifically a consultant or a coach, or you have an agency, and you're trying to scale the business and really enhance both your sales and marketing efforts, also visit closers.io, get in touch with our team, and discover how exactly we scaled our company from 0 to over 30 million per year in less than 3 years. Until then, keep on crushing it, and I'll see you on the next one.